to introduce John Drake, whose daughter is with us. John is a member of our Parent Advisory Council. We meet every month. A large group of parents, along with our administrative staff, meet monthly to talk about issues, not just issues for students at Cotting, but advocating for children with special needs throughout the Commonwealth. So John, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule and joining us.
Thanks, Dave, and good afternoon, and thanks for letting me spend a little bit of time out of your busy schedules telling my story a little bit. As Dave mentioned, my name is John Drake. I live up in Andover with my wife, Kim, and our 3 kids. I was born in Somerville. We moved to Andover in 1972, and I'm blessed that I still live in the town I grew up in. My family's still there, and I live there with my 3 kids, Alexi, Jack, and Giovanna, who are 10, 8, and 6. As a lifelong Massachusetts resident, there have been a tremendous number of ups and downs. And some of you may know them, some of you may know all of them, but they're things like the blizzard of '78, birds stealing the ball in '87, the pride I had in 1988 when both presidential candidates were born in Massachusetts. Ray Bork did win the cup. Unfortunately, it was for the Avalanche. The Snow Bowl and the Pats win in New Orleans. Yes, Dave, Aaron, bleep and boom. But of course, that made it all better in the next year when the Yankees posted the biggest choke in history. So lots of ups and downs being a passionate Massachusetts resident. None of those, nor some of the more serious events in our life, ever prepared us for what was ahead of us when our first child was born and having a child with special needs. On June 1st, 1999, my first child was born. It was Alexi. She's now a 10-year-old, turning 11 shortly. From the opening moments, we knew something was wrong. We held her for about 2 minutes, and then they had to whisk her away. That evening, she was taken from Emerson, where she was born, to Mass General. We then spent the next 3 months with her in the NICU, and then 2 years trying to figure out what happened and get a diagnosis. We still haven't figured out what happened, but we kind of closed that chapter. But during those 2 years of exploration and trying to understand what happened and what's in store for her future, we had expectations set across the board. They ranged from the worst case of a serious metabolic issue that would dramatically shorten her life, to the most optimistic of, you have a daughter who's profoundly deaf, with physical and developmental delays. She'll probably be nonverbal, but other than that, she'll be healthy and happy. And we dealt with it. As you can imagine, we had prepared the home for what we thought was going to be a normal childbirth. So one of the most challenging things was coming home and going to a house and a room that was set up to fulfill the dreams of a new child, and recognize the books you bought, she'll never hear you read, the music that she's supposed to listen to, she won't hear, and the toys she won't even be able to pick up or anything like that. But having said all that, we got through it. We have a wonderful local family and tremendous faith. We truly believe that God didn't pick Alexi for us, that we were picked for Alexi to help her stretch and maximize her potential. And I think that we've done a great job of that so far, but there's a long way to go. We could fast forward to the almost now 11 years to talk about a little girl that's already exceeded our expectations, but I think that would be a disservice to her perseverance and the men and women who've made it possible through all the schools and support organizations that have helped us. She started with early intervention in Andover. She went to Thayer Lindsay, just right up the street from here, when she was still having her hearing issues, which were very profound. She went to the Boutwell School for the Deaf, and then ultimately went to Cotting. All of those journeys were backstopped by tremendous support from the Andover Public School System. We could not have done it without their support. As I fast forward now to where she is today, she's growing, she's thriving. She has some hearing return to her. She is experiencing the magic of reading books with the help of the staff at Cotting. I have a beautiful video of her reading to her grandfather. She participates in dance class, and she skied at Sunapee this year, none of which would have happened without the connections we had through Cotting. She still has a long way to go, but she's already exceeded our expectations, and she's going to continue doing that as she continues to thrive. The real journey is defined by 2 seminal events. The first one was that she got some of her hearing back. They told us in the early on days of expectation setting that She could have hearing return as she continued to mature, and whether it was due to an original misdiagnosis, whether it was the continued brain myelinization or a small miracle, she did get her hearing back. And that allowed us to change our focus from a school that focused on hearing impaired children that could deal with developmentally delayed and physically challenged kids to one that optimized around her delays and physical challenges.